This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
Rated MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Oh, yeah. It does not matter who the host is. What it matters is that we're at another week is what it sounds like. It definitely matters who the listeners are. But today is Monday, August the 24th of 2026, and we are broadcasting from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and coming across the multiverse known as Safety FM. And then we are hanging out with our friends and colleagues over there.
You're being infiltrated. Radio Big.
Yes, infiltration in Radio Big is the way that we go about doing our things. That is for sure. So how have you been? How has the last, a few hours been? Because definitely that we're just coming off of the weekend, doing the fun stuff that we get to do. So hopefully you were able to do some cool stuff. I always look at cool stuff because I always think it's interesting that we get some times to do some things. And it's all really about the time that you get to do the stuff. I don't know. It gets weird sometimes. Anyway, so let's talk about what we do here. Our show consists of safety in the news and safety. That's just kind of the way that it goes about in regards to what we do. So I bring in some professional broadcasters. They talk about what the hell's going on inside of the world. And then I kind of give you some news stories, some things that I'm contemplating, all that kind of fun stuff. And then we kind of go through the whole thing. And then if you want to interact with the show, it's simple to do so. All you have to do is go to callinradio.com. That's callinradio.com. Once you get there, audio, video, and text messaging in regards to the options of the things that you get to do. So there you go. A lot of stuff going on inside of the world. That is for sure. So that's kind of the whole package. Hour number 1 is the only hour that we do on a video. Hour 2 and 3 we do exclusively on Radio Big. .fm. But here's the fun part. That first hour, we're kind of all over the place in regards to what we get to do. So that's kind of always the interesting aspect of the things that are going on. So with that being said, here's the way that it will go. We'll try to get you out of here relatively quick in regards of going through everything, but we'll talk a little bit about everything. What we normally want you to do is take a listen and have different aspects to talk about before you go into a meeting. That's kind of the whole goal of the show, is that we want to talk a little bit about everything. This way you have something topical of what's going on, and then you can have any discussions afterwards. Because I've always come to the conclusion that if you start talking about safety and protocols right away without talking about something topical, you really throw some people off. Just kind of the way that it goes. So with that being said, let's go ahead and do this. Let me bring in my friends from Feature Story News. Let them tell you about what the hell is going on with the multiverse of ours. And then we kind of just go from there. So let's do that.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
From Feature Story News in New Delhi, I'm Neha Punia. The US says it will announce economic sanctions against Iran's trade partners on Monday, calling it its greatest financial offensive yet. Iran has threatened to hit back by shutting down all oil exports from the Gulf if this happens. This is coming as Pakistan's powerful army chief is visiting Tehran on Monday, Islamabad emerging as a key negotiator in talks between Iran and the US in this war. Blake Shifton has more from Tel Aviv.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is expected to announce those new sanctions on Iran in a press conference. He has said that these will be the strongest sanctions ever placed on Iran. He is also expected to urge China to cooperate with these measures, and that's because China is by far the largest purchaser of Iranian oil. Now, as these sanctions loom, Iran's top security chief, Mohsen Rezai, has issued a stark warning to countries all around the world, saying, do not join the economic war that Iran would retaliate against the interests of any countries that cooperate or participate in these sanctions, especially Gulf countries. He said Iran would target oil export routes and vowed not a drop of oil will leave the Persian Gulf and Strait of Hormuz.
US President Donald Trump has meanwhile hit out at Canada, saying it wants the benefits of being a state without actually being one, signaling there's no change after 50% tariffs were announced on Canadian goods over the weekend. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney announced retaliatory tariffs, saying Washington asked for too much and offered too little. Jagrati Dave has the latest on trade tensions.
It's essentially saying that they'll be forced to come back to the negotiating table because the 50% tariffs from the US will be devastating for Canada. The US is Canada's primary source of foreign imports, but it cuts both ways. Canada is also the US's largest foreign energy supplier. Now, there could be some pressure domestically from Trump to back down from Democrats and businesses who will see their own costs rising, but it's not clear if this is enough to cause the president to reverse course. If they don't go back to negotiations, we're going to probably see an escalation of a continuation, I should say, of these tariff escalations. And September the 8th is the date to watch to see if Canada's retaliatory tariffs triggers a further counter-retaliation from the United States.
Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman is in Paris holding talks with French President Emmanuel Macron. The two leaders are set to co-chair the inaugural Saudi-French Strategic Partnership Council on Monday. Ross Cullen has more.
There will also be a chance for Emmanuel Macron to dig a little deeper into the new defence pact signed by Saudi Arabia and Turkey, along with Pakistan. And so there'll be a chance for discussions about those issues, along with energy, transport, healthcare, a range of agreements set to be signed between Paris and Riyadh during the Saudi Crown Prince's state visit.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks. Today, the US and Canada restart their trade war after the collapse of negotiations between the two countries late on Friday. Prime Minister Mark Carney told reporters the Americans asked too much and offered too little. We got attacked, he claimed, after he walked away from the table and announced Canada will match 50% tariffs now being imposed by the US on $20 billion of Canadian exports. Sam Lowe is a partner at Flint Global, specialising in trade policy.
Well, at this moment, there's still a lot of detail that's coming out, so we don't know precisely what single issue it was that triggered the decision to walk away from the discussions. The suspicion is that the US tried to push in a load of new commitments at the last minute. So, for example, there are some rules in Canada that say there's a certain amount of television programmes that are on should be in French. The Americans said, well, they didn't like that rule. There's also some suspicion that the US was trying to get a veto of sorts over any other trade agreements Canada might do with other countries. And the Canadians said, well, no, that's infringes on our sovereignty. So it sounds a bit like the US maybe pushed a bit too far at the death and put some things on the table that Carney just couldn't swallow.
For President Trump, the talks' collapse may pose fresh short-term political difficulties, with the new tariffs likely to stoke American inflation just as voters are preparing for November's midterm elections. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
The main news again. The US says it will announce economic sanctions against Iran's trade partners on Monday, calling it its greatest financial offensive ever. Iran threatens to hit back by shutting down all oil exports from the Gulf if it happens. Donald Trump has hit out at Canada, saying it wants the benefits of being a state without being one, signaling no retreat after 50% tariffs were announced on Canadian goods over the weekend. And that is the latest feature story news. Neha Punia reporting.
You are listening to a renowned safety expert, Dr. Jay Allen, on Safety FM. Changing safety cultures, one broadcast and one podcast at a time. Join the fun on social media and find us on Facebook at Safety FM.
This portion of the show has been sponsored by Private Internet Access, America's #1 virtual private network, or VPN. Even if you use incognito mode, internet service providers is storing your browser data and many times even selling it. But Private Internet Access, or PIA, can help you. PIA encrypts and reroutes your internet traffic through one of its own servers, hiding your data from your internet service provider or network admin. And with servers in over 75 countries, you can get unrestricted access to geo-blocked content from around the world. PIA comes with easy-to-use apps and browsers extension for all devices, a rock-solid privacy policy, open source security, advanced customization settings, and it was just ranked the fastest VPN in the world by PC Magazine. And if you sign up right now with PIA, you can take advantage of a special deal only for Safety FM listeners. Only by using the following link, you can get the digital privacy for less than $2 a month. Yes, you did hear me correctly, less than $2 a month, and an extra 4 months for free. So that means for only $1.98 a month and 83% off, you can get this service for you right now. That's so much more inexpensive than virtually every other VPN on the market. And if you get it right now, you can take PIA's 30-day risk-free challenge. You can try it out for 30 days, see if you like it, and if not, just return it for a full refund. So just go to safetyfm.com/VPN. That's safetyfm.com/VPN to try out the best VPN on the planet completely risk-free. Now remember, safetyfm.com/VPN.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete signal transmission trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion, the book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all 3 books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.
Let's start using cutting-edge warp-speed 5G technology with your cell phone. Let me tell you about my friends at mobile.io. They have an ultra-fast 4G LTE and 5G network that covers 99% of Americans. So they've got you covered everywhere. Think about it for a moment. You have the opportunity to take a test drive for 10 days with unlimited talk, text, and premium data. What is premium data? Premium data is an allotment of a cellular data that you receive from a higher priority on the network. You won't get throttled like you will with some of those, well,
non-brand service providers. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to mobilemobile.io. That's mobilemobile.io to start your 10-day free trial.
Hello. Listen at your own risk. Rated R Safety Show.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like some risky business taking a listen to this show. That's for sure. So let's go ahead and get into it and start talking right away about some of the things that are going on inside of the world of the multiverse, because this is what is going on inside of there. So there you go. So let's get into all of the stuff that is happening inside of the world here. So TikTok is paying a hefty price to settle allegations involving the privacy of younger users. The Department of Justice says that it secured a $400 million settlement with TikTok to prevent company ByteDance, or parent company ByteDance, and related entities over claims they collected children's personal information in violation of the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. The case was originally filed back in 2024, and the DOJ says that the settlement is one of the largest financial recoveries ever under the Children Online Privacy Law. TikTok has already made changes to its ownership, management, privacy practices, and compliance systems since the lawsuit was filed, with the goal of improving protection for younger users. The Justice Department is calling the settlement a major win for American children and parents, and a reminder to big tech that when it comes to kids' personal information, we updated our privacy settlement or settings, doesn't come with a $400 million refund. So what do you think? I'm just asking the question because it definitely gets interesante as we are talking. So there you go. A lot of stuff going on inside of the world. Let's talk about some other things real quick. A passenger on American airline flight from Atlanta to Dallas got a little bit more excitement than they bargained for when the laptop reportedly caught on fire during the landing. American Airlines Flight 2398 landed safely at Dallas-Fort Worth on Friday after smoke began coming from a passenger's device. The crew quickly contained the laptop, and emergency personnel met at the plane's gate. The passenger was treated for burns and later released, although air traffic control has some audio that was been released, indicating that as many of 4 or 5 passengers may have suffered burns to their hands. The FAA says that flight attendants used thermal containment bags to control the fire, that it was and then launched an investigation. There were about 133 people on the aboard the Airbus 321, or should I say A321. Laptop and phone batteries use lithium-ion technology, which can overheat and experience what is known as thermal runaway. The FAA has already recorded 58 lithium battery smoke or fire incidents on passenger planes so far this year. Take a listen to the incident.
It was absolutely terrifying. I just saw the smoke first, and then it all happened really fast, and he was trying to get it away from him into the aisle. There were 2 individuals that had their hands in bags of ice, and they were, shaking. They were visibly, just very shocked probably.
A laptop catching on fire on a plane will definitely put a lot of people in shock when it's said and done. What do you think here? I mean, it definitely is one of those things that it's not something you're going to expect as you're going down the system here. That's just one of the things that I would definitely say. So there you go. So you know that we're going to talk about all kinds of weird stuff because that's just kind of what we do around here. So on Friday's episode of Real Time with Bill Maher, Bill asked Hunter Biden if he was going to run for president. Here's what he had to say.
I've seen you with a crack pipe in your mouth. My question, are you running for president?
I'm here to announce. Yeah, exactly.
Have you thought about that?
Yeah, no, I haven't.
No,
here's my thing. If I announce for president, then somebody should check and see if I relapsed. That's what I.
Okay, so I guess this is where we stand in regards of him running for president. So now you know people have been wondering about that. So there you go. Okay, so a routine trip to a storage unit turned out into a real nightmare, real life nightmare, if anything, for a Texas woman who says that she was attacked by hundreds of bees and stung approximately, are you ready for this? 300 times. Rachel McKee arrived to a storage facility in Rockport, Texas on Saturday morning when she says that she was swarmed suddenly. Bees got into her eyes, ears, nose, and all over her body, and she became trapped behind a gate while desperately trying to escape. Thinking quickly, McKee used Siri on her phone to call 911. The storage facility owner saw the emergency unfolding through the security system and remotely opened the gate, allowing deputies and firefighters to get to her. One deputy quickly put McKay inside of a patrol car to get her away from the swarm, a ride that she says that she never was happier to take. McKay was airlifted to a hospital, and she spent about 24 hours recovering. And she says that the hospital staff told her she roughly had about 300 stings and may have a record for their facility. Thankfully, she did not suffer an allergic reaction, which that would have been a cluster within itself. The storage owner later treated the area and believes that the attackers may have been Africanized honeybees, better known as killer bees, although the identification hasn't been independently confirmed. Take a listen.
You can hear her desperate screams for help.
Help! Help me! There were like 1,000 bees.
You could have been minutes away from death.
I felt the impending doom. It was terrifying. It was just brutal. I mean, I could not get away.
Help! Help me!
Impending doom. I mean, think about that real quick. I mean, I can't even fathom this for just a moment in regards to this actually happening. But then when it happens, you have no idea what is occurring in real time. So that's going to be one of the other things to think about. So if you kind of give this some thought process here, did the owner of the storage unit, and this is just a question on my behalf, did the owner of the storage unit not realize that this was a problem? Like, did they not realize that they had this issue already going? I'm just wondering. Because I understand doing something afterwards. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know that sounds terrible, but kind of an odd thing. But you were able to release the person. So the good part is they were able to release them. But has this never happened before? Like, did they not see these things occurring in real time? I'm just asking because I'm curious. Not that I'm doing anything else, that's for sure on this one.
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so let's start talking about it because there's some questions, of course, that always come about. But Caroline Leavitt is wrapping up her time at the White House press secretary and heading back to familiar territory. President Donald Trump Super PAC, MAGA Inc. Leavitt confirmed on Friday that her final day as press secretary could coincide with the president's trip to Myrtle Beach, but she says that she's not disappearing from public view. She plans to remain active as an outside advisor to the president and return to her previous role as the spokesperson for MAGA Inc., which reportedly has been a massive political war chest. Leavitt says that becoming a mother again gave her a new perspective, and she realized that the demanding around-the-clock job of the White House press secretary wasn't allowing her to be the mom that she wants to be for her two young children. No successor has been named yet. In the meantime, several big names, including Vice President J.D. Vance, Secretary of State Mark Rubio, and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, have filled the briefing podium. So let's see what happens there. I don't think that anybody's stepping away from their position to do that, but I mean, in regards to the ones that I just mentioned, but it's definitely interesting. Definitely interesting. It always seems like that is not an easy job to have overall. I'm just saying in general. Will you miss her? I mean, I'm just asking the question to understand, but hey, now you know that you can find her at MAGA Inc.
Duh.
I didn't say a .com, but that's where you can find her as a spokesperson going forward. So there you go. There you go. Anyways, take a listen to this one. The Supreme Court has cleared the way for President Trump's White House Ballroom project to keep moving forward, putting a lower court orders that had been halted construction on hold. Chief Justice John Roberts signed an order on Friday allowing the construction to continue while legal fights play out. Without explaining the court's reasoning. Lower courts had ruled that President Trump needed congressional approval for a massive project, but the administration appealed and asked Supreme Court to intervene before the deadline to stop work. The proposed 90,000 square foot Ballroom has become one of President Trump's biggest White House projects and one of the most controversial as well. The administration argues that the project serves as a national security purposes. That's the whole point behind the thing. While, preserving and doing all these other things. And let's just talk about the preservation groups that are out there. Say that the president cannot simply reshape the federal property without Congress signing off. The National Trust for Historic Preservation also argues the accelerated construction schedule is designed to get so much work done that stopping it later would be nearly impossible. So there you go. What do you think here? So is this being done on purpose? Or is it being done from the aspect of, hey, let's just continue moving? Or what do you think that's being done here? It's kind of a weird one. It's like, hey, could we halt this project? And a lower court says yes. The higher court in the land says no. We're not halting the project. Continue on, but you can continue until the argument comes about. I mean, at what point do you go, there's so much construction is being done again, we can't stop it. It's already moving. You know what I'm saying? This is one of those things. It's definitely what it sounds like.
Duh.
That's for sure. Okay, so let's continue talking. The U.S. Navy may be considering a dramatic name change for one of its newest aircraft carriers, according to reports from CNN and NBC. Officials have discussed naming still under construction CVN-81 after President Trump instead of Doris Miller, the World War II hero, originally chosen as the ship's namesake. Miller was a black sailor aboard the USS West Virginia during the attack on Pearl Harbor. Despite having no training on an anti-aircraft gun, he reportedly took control of one during the attack and fired at the Japanese aircraft while also helping carry wounded sailors to safety. He later received the Navy Cross and was killed in action in 1943. The Navy announced in 2020 that the CVN-81 would be named after Doris Miller, making it the first aircraft carrier named after an African American. But the ship now is reportedly being referred to as internally as simply as the CVN-81. And discussions over its name continue. Naming an aircraft carrier after a sitting president would be unprecedented. The Navy is reportedly under pressure to settle the issue before the ship keel-laying ceremony later this year, although the carrier isn't expected to be completed until 2034. Hold on. You have a ship that you're building, and it's 2026. And you have to have a name for it before it's even completed? That's pretty interesting. I think it's kind of odd, but it's definitely interesting when it's all said and done. I don't know. Sounds magical to me.
You are listening to something magical. You're listening to the Rated R Safety Show.
What a weird time when it gets to stuff like this. That's for sure. Anyways, take a listen to this one. Tiger Woods is set to make his first court appearance in early September, nearly 5 months after his shocking DUI arrest and rollover crash in Florida. Tiger was arrested on March 27 after allegedly flipping his SUV while trying to pass a truck and trailer at a high speed on Jupiter Island. Police reportedly found 2 opioid painkillers in his pocket, and Woods was charged with a DUI, property damage, and refusing to submit to a lawful test. He has since then completed rehab program in Switzerland. Wow, that's kind of a little place to go. Switzerland from Jupiter in Florida. Okay, and then waived his arraignment while requesting a jury trial. Prosecutors have also been granted access to his hospital and prescription records connected to the crash, though those records are protected from public release. So think about that for a moment. All of a sudden you had an accident, a rollover, high-speed rollover is what it sounds like. And now your medical records, it's not being released to the public, but it's, the records have been followed up by prosecutors. Gets interesting. You're found with 2 opioid painkillers in your pocket. And this has been talked about. So here's my question. If he had the pills in his pocket, number one, were they in their bottle? That's going to be the first question. Number 2, is there an assumption that he was on the painkillers and these were like for later? I don't know, because there's a lot of questions there, opposed to it just being straightforward of, hey, here you go.
Safety in a way never heard of before. The Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Well, what do you think there? I mean, it gets interesting. There's no other way to put it, because how else would you look at this? It's just one of those strange ones, that's for sure. Okay, take a listen to this one. Dystopian. Should I start off from there? No, let me not start off from there. Harvard Business School is taking online learning to a whole new, slightly creepy level. The school is offering an 8-week entrepreneurial program called HBS Foundry, where students can get advice from an AI agents, including digital clones of actual Harvard professors. The $699 course is available around the clock and isn't limited to Harvard students. The AI avatars are trained on faculty members, teaching materials and expertise, allowing aspiring entrepreneurs to get personalized help as they build their business. The digital professors were created with AI avatars company HeyGen. One of the professors cloned for the project, senior lecturer Jeff Bucksgang, admits that seeing an AI version of himself is a little creepy. Let me rephrase that. A reporter who tested the program noted that this avatar smiled constantly and had some awkward repetitive movements. So apparently even artificial intelligence hasn't figured out how to stop looking uncomfortable in Zoom. Still, Harvard says that participants love the technology. The program also includes weekly sessions with real professors, investors, and experienced entrepreneurs and organizers say that students have embraced both AI coaches and the opportunity to connect with other founders. So there you go. So what do you think here? I'm just asking because it's an interesting time. It's definitely an interesting time when it's all said and done. So with that being said, why don't we go ahead and do this? Before I do that, should I do this or should I do that? Let's just go ahead and get into the let's get into the main story, because I didn't realize how far behind I am. So with that being said, about all this digital tech for a moment, I think I got something for you that might make it a little bit interesting as we are talking. So let's go ahead and do this one.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
Yeah, I have one that I want to save. You know how we talk about on Freeform Friday that we do a little bit of everything? I think we're going to kind of follow that one into a little bit of everything. So there you go. So let's talk about this, because I think that going in from this story from Harvard into this, it will be interesting to see some of the stuff that is going on. And the reason that I talk about this is, think about that for a moment. Your AI technology now is getting to the part where you can actually now take courses where you might not have access to a real, quote unquote, professor, but we are now being able to interact with the AI version of a professor. I mean, I don't know. Do you kind of figure like, hey, I wanted to take a selfie with my favorite actor, but all of a sudden I am at the Wax Museum doing it there instead? I'm not picking here. I'm just asking. Because here's where it gets more and more interesting. Think about this for a moment. A few years ago, during the lockdown, during the pandemic, sometimes I kind of wonder if you're able to even talk about that. A lot of our meetings were virtual, and we were only able to connect with people virtually for the most part, depending where you lived, of course. And now we're looking at technology that would give you essentially access to the brain of a person, but not necessarily access to the person himself. So have we gotten to the point now where we can do this and be okay with information that you acquire from an AI agent that has been trained by the original material that you're looking for? Now, think about this for just a moment in time, and I'm not picking here. A lot of people use AI, and they use these large language models. So if you were doing this at the fee of $700, as we were talking about before we got into this, would you be okay with accessing the person's thoughts to an extent, but not the actual person? Now, keep in mind you are limited to once a week of actually talking to the real person. Would you be okay with this? Because I will tell you, we have complained on this show before about AI technology where a CEO of a company might do a recording on AI. And then in regards of when you actually get the AI information of the introduction, people get upset. So are people going to be okay with this? Because think about it for a moment. You'll be able to access this AI for up to 8 weeks. So if this is something that we're leaning towards, how do you feel about this? Because I don't know how you go about it, but I'm constantly trying to learn new things. Hopefully you're in that same scenario too. So just because I agree with something today doesn't necessarily mean that I will agree with the same thing in a week or 2 weeks or 4 weeks or 8 weeks in this case. So is this technology going to be good or harmful? And I remember many, many, many moons ago watching a little video on YouTube where somebody had taken a lot of works of this author called Philip K. Dick and had made a program where you could sit with it, and they had like this animatronics thing built into it, and it was able to answer questions for you based on his work. And it was kind of odd at the time, and this was years and years ago. This is definitely over a decade ago. Or I remember the first time that I saw it, better say. So I look at it and I go, is this the world that we're going into? I mean, I get it from to an extent that there are classes that certain students want to get into, and they might not have the opportunity of getting into it immediately. So getting into it and then asking the questions of, hey, I have limited access. Would this work? So I look at it from the standpoint, right now as we speak, if you had the opportunity, and I'm talking about the opportunity here of doing this, if you had the opportunity to go in there and say, hey, we're going to go into this and we're going to take a look around and be able to access something that we were never able to access previously because we're using this technology, would it be something that you would consider? Because think about this for a moment. Sometimes there's people that you want to have come and speak at your location that might be involved in the safety world, as I like to call it. But they're unable to come due to scheduling, maybe price point doesn't make a lot of sense at the time, and you give it some consideration. Would you take the AI version of this instead? I'm just asking because I almost look at it and go, some people would give it some consideration. Some other people would say, no, we'll never do this. So I don't know. I look at it from the standpoint of going, I don't know which is the best way of doing this. So that is the thing that I always want to give some consideration to. So if you look at this and go, moving forward, this is something that I would give consideration to, how soon would you do it? Because this gets weird quick on how this technology works. So that's something I would love for you to give some consideration to today. What technology would you be willing to use inside of your workplace without it getting too strange? If you could access almost somebody's thought process based on how they trained something, would it be worthwhile for you and your team? That's going to almost be a world that we're going to have to start thinking about because things continue to get stranger and stranger. Imagine that. Interacting, but the person that had the source material never knew you interacted with them. That's where things are going to get strange quickly.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with the viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You are listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
You've seen the loop. You've felt the shift. The script doesn't fit anymore, and neither do you. Safety transmission. The collapse of the construct is the third and final signal in the trilogy from J. Allen, PhD. And this time, it's not about waking up. It's about what you do once you're awake. The system didn't break. It just stopped pretending to hold you. And now it's blinking, rebranding presence, packaging resistance, and calling it progress. This book isn't a guide. It's a transmission. It doesn't teach the system how to evolve. It shows you how to stop performing for it. You'll see what happens when awareness becomes responsibility, when audits don't listen, and when leadership becomes a loop. But if you've made it this far, you're not here to be managed. You're here to carry signal. Safety transmission. The collapse of the construct. Now available in print, Kindle, and audiobook. Narrated by J. Allen, PhD. Because if it couldn't hold your signal, it was never real to begin with.
Do you have a claim and not sure where to turn? Coastal Claim Consultants are professionally licensed and bonded public insurance adjusters employed exclusively by you, the policyholder, to represent you after sustaining an insured loss. They assist policyholders in all aspects of processing the claim, working closely with the insured to provide the most equitable and timely settlement possible. They will provide you with comprehensive service, anything from inspecting the loss site, analyzing damages, compiling claim support data, reviewing applicable coverages, assessing replacement costs of damages, and negotiating your settlement. The adjusters at Coastal Claim Consultants will evaluate your claim for no upfront cost whatsoever. Coastal Claim Consultants' fee is based on contingency contracts and are paid when the insurance company sends you a check and it's in your possession. Coastal Claim Consultants are licensed to assist you in the following states: Florida, Texas, Oklahoma, Georgia, and South Carolina. For more information, go to coastal-cc.com. That's coastal-cc.com. For more information, lighting the way to recovery. Coastal Claim Consultants. This portion of the show has been sponsored by Private Internet Access, America's #1 virtual private network, or VPN. Even if you use incognito mode, internet service providers is storing your browser data and many times even selling it. But Private Internet Access, or PIA, can help you. PIA encrypts and reroutes your internet traffic through one of its own servers, hiding your data from your internet service provider or network admin. And with servers in over 75 countries, you can get unrestricted access to geo-blocked content from around the world. PIA comes with easy-to-use apps and browsers extension for all devices, a rock-solid privacy policy, open source security, advanced customization settings, and it was just ranked the fastest VPN in the world by PC Magazine. And if you sign up right now with PIA, you can take advantage of a special deal only for Safety FM listeners. Only by using the following link, you can get the digital privacy for less than $2 a month. Yes, you did hear me correctly. Less than $2 a month and an extra 4 months for free. So that means for only $1.98 a month and 83% off, you can get this service for you right now. That's so much more inexpensive than virtually every other VPN on the market. And if you get it right now, you can take PIA's 30-day risk-free challenge. You can try it out for 30 days, see if you like it, and if not, just return it for a full refund. So just go to safetyfm.com/VPN. That's safetyfm.com/VPN to try out the best VPN on the planet completely risk-free. Now remember, safetyfm.com/VPN.
Our station is so big that you don't have to do much to make it work for you. Radio Big. Another pitfall of our society. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, here we go. 45 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out on this lovely Monday. Yeah, this right here, song's called Coastal. Artist name Go Hawaii. Songs readily available on YouTube Music, Spotify, Apple Music, and Pandora. Yeah, we would like to thank Go Hawaii for allowing us to play this here. I would recommend giving this a little streamer-eamer action. A lot of stuff going on inside of the multiverse, that is for sure, as we are talking. So there you go. Thank you to Go Hawaii for allowing me to play the song. Let's continue talking about some other things that are going on inside of the world of the multiverse. And I have to tell you, we constantly talk about our friends at To Write Love on our arms because I really love the company and the information that they do. So I'm going to talk to you about two things real quick going on with them. So no matter what you're facing, you deserve to be connected to help. And we want you to know that people have been where you are now and things can get better. Healing is possible. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to TWLOHA.com. That's TWLOHA.com and click on the section that says Find Help. Once you get there, you're going to see information related to addiction, depression, anxiety, eating disorder, self-injury, suicide, trauma, grief support, just to name a few. That's TWLOHA.com to write love on her arms. So go there if you're looking for stuff in regards of looking for help. I'm going to tell you real quickly about some things that they have going on under their event section with TWLOHA.com. So they're doing, actually starting tomorrow, the QPR Suicide Prevention Virtual Training, starting tomorrow, August the 25th at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. That's the first session that they're doing. After that, there's one available on September the 1st at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Then September the 3rd at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And then September the 9th at noon Eastern Time. And then once again, September the 15th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. So definitely something worth taking a look at if you're so inclined to do so. This is QPR Suicide Prevention Virtual Training. So it's going to be, the trainings are on Tuesdays, what it looks like, or at least it starts on Tuesdays. QPR stands for Question, Persuade, and Refer, the 3 simple steps anyone can learn to help save a life from suicide, just as people train for CPR and the Heimlich maneuver help save thousands of lives a year. People trained with QPR training know how to recognize the warning signs of a suicide crisis, and how to question, persuade, and refer someone. So there you go. Attendees must be at least 18 years of age. The training is a ticketed event of $20 to cover the cost of training materials to be distributed upon completion of the session. So there you go. Definitely think it's something to take a look at and would be worth your while. So there you go. QPR suicide prevention virtual training taking place on the Tuesdays throughout the month. You can find out more information under twloha.com and click on the section that says events. Okay, with that being said, why don't we go ahead and do this right now? Why don't we go ahead and bring in our friend John Smalls and let him tell us about what the hell is going on with the motivation minute. So let's do that right now.
Courtesy of JaceCaseMedical.com. Today's quote was submitted by Adrian. Vincent van Gogh said, "Great things are done by a series of small things brought together." I love this. My wife and I have been living in the same house since 2022. When we bought it, we knew we were going to do some major remodeling. We took out walls, we put in new windows and doors, we changed out all of the flooring and pretty much everything else you can change. We did this project in phases. Now the first phase was the biggest, but since then it's been small projects that take less time and money. Little by little, the whole home and the yard have been transformed. It was not one big thing, but many little things that add up to make the transformation look amazing. I think this very much feels like the quote from Van Gogh, a series of small things.
The Motivation Minute.
This has been the Motivation Minute. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
President Donald Trump capped celebrations marking America's 250th anniversary with an unusual auto race through Washington, drawing attention to a first-of-its-kind event.
The race brought motorsports into the nation's capital as part of the broader anniversary program. Organizers hoped the spectacle would provide a distinctive celebration while attracting crowds and national attention. Kevin Sanders reporting.
A fast-moving wildfire outside Reno has grown beyond 10,000 acres, forcing thousands of people to leave neighborhoods as flames spread toward populated areas.
Emergency crews are battling the Hawk Fire as evacuations continue, and changing conditions threaten additional communities. Officials are urging residents to follow evacuation orders while firefighters try to slow the advance. Kyle Norris reporting.
Syria says security negotiations with Israel could resume soon, despite deep mistrust and unresolved demands over territory seized during years of conflict.
Damascus wants an agreement that could eventually bring Israeli forces off Syrian land. According to its foreign minister, any renewed talks would face major obstacles, but Syria says it sees an opening for diplomacy. Benjamin Wright reporting.
Pete Buttigieg returned to South Carolina as he considers another presidential campaign, revisiting a state that played an important role in his earlier bid.
The former transportation secretary met with voters and supporters while weighing a possible White House run. His visit highlights early movement among potential candidates as Democrats begin looking toward the next presidential election. Liam White reporting.
Pakistan's army chief is expected in Tehran for talks as regional powers continue efforts to reduce tensions and encourage negotiations between Iran and Washington.
Iran announced the planned visit, while Pakistan continues acting as a mediator between the two governments. The discussions could test whether outside diplomacy can narrow differences that have kept the conflict unresolved. Gary Beck reporting.
Iran's government dismissed threatened new American sanctions as a desperate move, insisting fresh economic pressure will not force Tehran to change course.
The foreign minister rejected warnings of tougher measures after Washington promised unprecedented sanctions. The dispute deepens pressure surrounding the conflict, while both governments remain divided over diplomacy and Iran's regional role. Chris Anderson reporting.
Indonesian authorities have arrested dozens of people suspected of starting forest and peatland fires that sent dangerous haze across wide areas.
Police say 72 suspects were taken into custody as smoke from the fires affected communities and threatened neighboring regions. Authorities are continuing investigations while firefighters work to contain remaining hotspots. Lawrence Keller reporting.
Canada says it will match new American tariffs dollar for dollar, escalating a trade dispute after last-minute negotiations failed to prevent steep duties.
The new measures target trade between two longtime allies and major economic partners. Retaliation could raise costs for businesses and consumers while worsening already strained relations between Washington and Ottawa. Jessica Oakley reporting.
And that's the latest news headlines with Alan Edwards.
In order to save the planet from cow farts, why doesn't someone just invent really large gas X pills?
God, what's that awful stench?
Radio.
Oh, yes, awful stench is definitely what it sounds like as we are doing our thing. Let's talk about some things that happened back on this date. Back in 1869, waffle iron is invented. That's 1869. In 1912, territory of Alaska is organized. In 1968, France became the world's fifth thermonuclear power. Yep, that's what I said. In 1989, Pete Rose is suspended from baseball for life for gambling. In 1991, Ukraine declares independence from USSR. In 2011, Steve Jobs resigns as the CEO of Apple and is succeeded by Tim Cook as a result of his illness. And let's see. In 2015, Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg announces that for the first time, 1 billion people logged on to Facebook. And in 2020, the first documented case of person being reinfected by COVID-19. A second time in Hong Kong was a man 4 months after his first infection. That all happened back on the dates that I referred to. So there you go. So let's talk about some celebrity birthdays going on today. Ann Archer turned 79. Mike Huckabee turned 71. Steve Gutenberg turned 68. Cal Ripken Jr. turned 66. Marlene Martlin turned 61. Dave Chappelle, 53. Chad Michael Murray turns 45. And let's see, Rupert Grint turns 38. So there you go. There's some birthdays going on for you today. Let's talk about some things that you ought to know. Here's Friday's winning Mega Million numbers for the jackpot for $113 million. They were 125, 34, 48, 57. The Mega Ball was 24. Here are Saturday's winning Powerball numbers for the jackpot of $68 million. 13, 31, 54, 57, 65. Powerball was 23. Power Play was 3. Since there was no winner, the next jackpot will climb up to around $81 million or so. So there you go. So let's continue talking about some other things. It turns out that a lot of Americans are ready to put an age limit on scrolling. A new survey of 2,000 adults found that 62% believe that children under the age of 16 should not be allowed to create a social media account. The debate of a little more complicated when it comes to those who make the rules. 35% of those surveys said the restriction should be a nationwide policy, while others believe the parents should have the final say. So there you go. What do you think? I'm just asking. Just a question. Take a listen to this one real quick. President Trump stirring up the heat on Canada as the trade dispute between the two countries continues to escalate. In a social media post yesterday, the president accused Canada of wanting the benefits of being a state without being one and blasted the country for imposing what they called massive tariffs on American farmers for years, declaring no more. The comments come after the negotiation between the U.S. and Canada broke down, with both countries now moving towards large tariffs. Canadian Prime Minister has announced the plans that to hit back with the tariffs on American products, further escalating the tensions between the two longtime allies. So there you go. Don't know what to tell you. So that's going to sum up our time together, no doubt about that. At the top of the hour, I will be going over to radiobig.fm for the next couple hours or so. Would love to see you over there if you want to come and hang out and talk about the world of music and entertainment. If you don't want to go over there, you can hang out right here with the likes of Sheldon Primus as he talks about the world of safety consulting. Okay, if I can leave you with some words of wisdom for today, here's this. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. And then if you need some advice for today, list all of your strengths, talents, experience, and expertise. Challenge you to have overcome and how you grew from them. Give yourself permission to take pride in what you do well and tap into those feelings of confidence. If self-doubt creeps in the future, check back to the list because that will change everything for you. So there you go. Some things to think about. Anyways, I know who you are. Duh. You know who I am. Love you, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed during this broadcast, podcast, or radio show are solely those of the host and guests and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Safety FM and/or Radio Big. The content discussed, including examples of analysis, is provided for illustrative purposes only. It should not be applied as the sole solution in real-world scenarios, as it is based on limited and dated open source information. Any assumptions made during this broadcast, podcast, or radio show are not reflective of Safety FM and/or Radio Big. No portion of this broadcast, podcast, or radio show may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, electronic, mechanical, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of Safety FM and/or Radio Big. For permission requests, please contact Safety FM or Radio Big directly.